Yeah, I mean, Ike Gundogan just essentially goes the opposite direction, and I think this is the biggest issue that City have. I know Pep talked about their injuries before the game, but I don't think it's the people that they brought in that's necessarily hampering the way City play. I mean, City don't worry about defending. They've got so much of the ball and so much of their energy is spent on going forwards and creating chances. But they've been able to play like this for the last few years because they've had the safety net of Fernandinho playing as that CDM, that pivot. But when he drops back and plays as a central defender, they missed that massively in midfield. And I know they signed Rodri this year and he looks good on the ball, but he doesn't have the same yard of pace as Fernandinho. He's not as experienced in the Premier League. He's not a proven champion the way Fernandinho is. And I think that's what's hurt City the most last weekend. They talk about having injury problems and being light at the back, but I mean, um, they've got Nicolas Otamendi sitting on the bench, and I mean, how much was he signed for? 40 something million pounds a couple of years ago. I don't buy the issue that at City, like, they've got a defense budget bigger than that of most small countries. They have Benjamin Mendy, who wasn't even named in the squad. I mean, like, Liverpool were missing one of their first choice centre halves, and they made the decision to keep Dan Lovren on over the summer, anticipating that they might, need to rotate at the back. And I'm not going to point the finger at City because they do have an outrageous number of injuries. I mean, you look at Laporte, you look at Ederson, you look at Sané. Obviously, they were injury hit, but I mean, Pep knows this. He spoke about it all week, and he was still naive enough to come to Anfield, play Fernandinho as a centre back, and then try to play attacking, free-flowing football with a disjointed team. Um, it's not good enough. Like, from him, they've gone to Anfield now, I think 4 times since Pep and Klopp have been fighting against each other, and they've lost 3 of them now. Or sorry, that's not right. They've lost 2, drawn 1. Lost 2, drawn 1. I actually can't remember what happened in the first season in Anfield, but I have a feeling Liverpool won as well. Yeah, I mean, you don't come and play football in Anfield at the minute. No matter how good you are. The draw they got last year, they should have won that game. They were much more compact, much more rigid, much tighter. I mean, the only team that's taken points off Liverpool this year are Manchester United. And if you look at the way that they played with 5 across the back and the wide inverted forwards, if City had played like that yesterday, they could well have done a job on Liverpool. I don't know why he played Sergio Aguero. He is haunted by the ghosts of Anfield. But Raheem Sterling looked on it. I mean, if they had played Kyle Walker as a third centre half, with Stones and Otamendi, and then play Fernandinho and Rodri in front of them, that's much more compact, and it allows their wing backs to neutralise Liverpool's fullbacks. It's something that's proven to work this year and proven to frustrate Liverpool. I mean, sure, I'm delighted that City came and played open, expansive football. And I mean, they had so much of the ball and they created more chances and they had more expected goals. But I mean, all of this happened because Liverpool had got that early lead. I know you can say if City had got that first goal, but I don't want to talk about the handball because, you know what I mean? VAR is here this year, but every other year before this year, there was no VAR, and the referee on the pitch didn't give it as a handball. Like, get on with it. You can start pulling out footage of every team being done off decisions. I mean, you keep playing. So I have no sympathy for City in that situation. I mean, the offside Salah goal, by the letter of the law, it was onside. I've seen so many pictures on Twitter of various lines drawn at different angles, but I mean, people on the internet don't seem to grasp the concept of 3D imaging, that you can't, that images that are closer seem bigger, images that are further away seem smaller, that the camera was at an angle, that it's not possible to draw a straight line in line with the lines on the grass and expect it to match up. Like, if I'm going to actually give you a visual demonstration. I mean, pardon my poor drawing, but like, this is all my notes page here, so it's going to look fairly awful. But I mean, these two lines here, I hope you can see them. There. I mean, that's what you would see if you were on a road. If this is a road, it gets narrower as it moves away. I mean, these two lines are straight, but they don't appear straight. That's how 2D. Oh, I don't even know. Look, he was onside the same way Firmino was offside the week before. It looked absolutely ludicrous on the cameras. The same way John Lundstrom's big toe was offside, it looks ludicrous on the cameras. But I mean, Salah was onside for that goal. So yeah, look, I don't know. I don't want to get into too much of a rant about sore losing City fans. Pep Guardiola is a total disgrace. I mean, the gifts are totally ridiculous, and he's saying twice, and it happened 2 times. But I mean that particular time that he got enraged the second time was never a penalty. I mean, in any era, in any game, is that ever been a penalty? Like, I mean, they were closer together than I am to the camera, and his hand is literally glued to his knee. I have no idea why Pep is so incensed by that. But anyway, yeah, look, Liverpool are now 8 points clear at the top of the league. And the scary thing about Liverpool is it doesn't seem to matter if they're playing well, if they're not playing well, if they have the ball, if they're not playing, if they don't have the ball. You know, they can sit back, they can soak up pressure, they can do you on the break, they can dominate a game and have 60-70% possession, they can be behind for 89 minutes and then score in the last minute, or they can cruise to a 2 or 3 goal head start and still look good. They look good no matter what the circumstance is. And if half the team aren't at it, the other half just seem better and better. There's this atmosphere around Liverpool at the minute that they're just not going to be beaten. They seem totally invincible. We'll see how long it lasts. I'm not saying they're going to be perfect for the entire season, but I mean, I would be absolutely terrified as an opposition fan coming up against Liverpool, because there is just no way to beat that beast. I mean, you can do what United did and soak up days of pressure, but I mean, if that game had gone on 3 or 4 minutes later, you know, Liverpool would have got a winner the way the game was going. So, yeah. Look, enough about those two. Chelsea and Leicester, lads, they are the real deal. Since the first week we've been doing this pod, I've been saying that those are my top 4. That Leicester and Chelsea we're going to break in this year, and the rest we're going to drop out. And I mean, that's surely without a doubt at this stage. They're what? 10 points clear of United, 12 points clear Spurs, and 9 points clear of Arsenal. I mean, that's Leicester, that is. They are level with Chelsea, so it's them as well. They're absolutely flying, those two teams. Though the top 4 are by far the best 4 teams in the league. Everyone else, it's so tight between 5th and 17th, I know, or 5th and 16th. But yeah, those two teams look really, really good. It'll be interesting to see how long Leicester can keep Brendan Rodgers, especially if Arsenal put Unai Emery out of a job at some stage. I mean, every Arsenal fan must be kicking themselves that the club didn't go out and find Brendan Rodgers over the summer, because I believe that the club would be in a totally different place if they had. What's happening at Arsenal is an absolute joke, and I mean, everyone expected them to get beaten at Leicester, and they did comfortably. The captaincy situation, the managerial situation, the board telling players not to interact online with fans. I mean, it's comical really from the outside in, and I know I'm sounding a bit upset about it. I'm actually smiling inside. It's just the illness. Yeah, I mean, there's got to be big changes at Arsenal before they come back. I don't know what Spurs are doing this year. I think that they actually need a new manager to come in and lift that squad, because what they've been doing isn't working anymore. United actually seem to be the ones making the most progress, that you can actually recognise a style and you can kind of predict when they're going to do well and when they're not going to do well. At least there's an element of consistency with Manchester United. But the rest of the traditional top 6, aside from the ones currently in the top 4, are Arsenal and Spurs I'm talking about. Aren't up to it at all this year. I wouldn't be surprised to see United actually finish ahead of both of them. Southampton, Everton, the relegation 6-pointer that kept Marco Silva's job possibly until Christmas. Hasselhouden is done at Southampton, like absolutely done. Fans throwing their scarves onto the pitch after the game. Everton haven't won on the road since March. That's their first away win this season. If they were going to beat anybody, it was going to be Everton at home. So I don't see any way back for Southampton without a managerial change soon. So it'll be interesting to see who's actually going to go first. If it's going to be Hasselhütten, if it's going to be Emery, I don't buy for a second that the board are backing him. I don't buy for a second. They're buying time while they line up a replacement, but I don't buy for a second that they're backing him. Wolves, Villa, a good win for Wolves. I thought that they were going to be the better team. Joe obviously predicted the win. I thought they might be a bit tired after their exploits in Europe midweek, but they obviously had enough in the tank to see off a pretty decent Villa team of late, so fair play to them. Newcastle Bournemouth was the only game that neither of us actually saw. Newcastle winning, the only one that neither of us picked. Fair play to Newcastle. The Steve Bruce revolution continues. Bournemouth, their troubles on the road continue. They've got to find some consistency, because on their day they look like a quality team, but this season they haven't looked like the Bournemouth that we knew last year. Callum Wilson still scores a couple of nice goals. Josh King got a nice one against United, but I mean they just blow too hot and cold. Burnley, West Ham are they're finished. Pellegrini is in big trouble as well. He could even be the first one to go. They sacked, who was it at this stage last year? Bilic at this stage. They've got 2 points in their last 15 games, and that was the stage and at this stage of the season they let him go. So I don't know how much more patience the board will have with him, but I mean, there are a few jobs hanging by threads. Speaking of which, Norwich, Watford, massive 3 points for Watford. I don't see any way back for Norwich. I know I'm making a lot of knee-jerks, jumping to a lot of conclusions today, but I don't see any way back for Norwich. Watford, we know that there's a good team in there somewhere, that they've been a model for success teams coming up over the last few years, but they've really got to start showing it over the next few weeks. Like, it is only November. I mean, there's plenty of time left if they can put a run of form together. Good luck to them, but I mean, that'll be a huge win taken into the international break. They'll come back hopefully with a little bit of confidence from that. We'll go through the scores really quickly. Joe predicted Norwich and Watford. I thought that Norwich might win that. Joe also predicted that Chelsea would beat Palace. I thought that Palace might hang on for a draw. Roy Hodgson afterwards said he didn't know what to say to his players, that they'd done everything right and that they were just beaten by a good Chelsea team. Excuse me. That they were just beaten by a much better team on the day, and that's the beast that are Chelsea at the minute. So that's 2-0 Joe. Burnley, West Ham, neither of us are going to take a point on that. We both knew Burnley were going to beat them. Joe asked me when did Burnley score 4 goals. I said they were going to score 4 this weekend. They scored 3 and had 1 disallowed, so have that, Joe. Newcastle, Bournemouth. Yeah, we didn't get that. Southampton versus Everton. Joe got the correct score of 2-1 to Everton. I thought it was going to be 1-0, so he can take that. Leicester versus Arsenal. Joe had a 3-0 Leicester. I had a 3-2. Obviously, it was bang in the middle there, so no points there again either. Spurs, Sheffield United. Joe actually called that draw. I thought Spurs were going to win it. Joe called that United were going to beat Brighton. I thought Brighton were going to nick a draw. Joe called that Wolves were going to beat Villa. I thought that Villa would have enough considering Wolves play midweek. And we both thought that Liverpool would beat City. So unfortunately, Joe scores 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. And I didn't get any this week. So that's an absolute hammering. And it brings the gap back to just 1 point between the two of us. So yeah, heavy loss for me going into the international break. Plenty of time to reflect and get my head together. Once I can get over this illness, I'm coming for you, Joe. Thanks, guys, for watching. Thanks for sticking with me. Twice I won. Once Joe won. Thanks again, guys. Bye.